North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reportedly entered Russia. This is as per a South Korean military. North Korea's state media reported that Kim Jong-un had departed from Pyongyang for Russia on Sunday in his private train. Russian President Vladimir Putin is likely to arrive in the city of Vladivostok today. Kim and Putin are likely to hold talks on weapons sale. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that he is planning to go to the Vostochin Cosmodrome located in Russia's Far East. This comes amid speculations that North Korea's Kim Jong-un and Putin are set to hold a meeting. The Kremlin spokesperson said, and I quote, "There will be negotiations between two delegations, and if necessary, the leaders will continue their communication in a one-on-one format." Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that cases against former US President Donald Trump are political revenge. He added that these cases show fundamental corruption in the United States. Putin said, and I quote, "What is happening in today's conditions is good because it shows the rottenness of the American political system." He also said that Russia's poor relations with the United States are unlikely to change significantly regardless of who becomes the next president. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for a greater focus on war efforts. He also pledged to intensify the crackdown on corruption as part of Ukraine's bid to join the European Union. The campaign led to the dismissal of Ukraine's wartime defense minister last week. Meanwhile, Zelensky welcomed German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock to Kiev. He expressed gratitude for military and financial assistance provided by Berlin. According to a recent poll, about 78% of Ukrainians believe that Zelensky is directly responsible for corruption in the government and regional administrations. Corruption was named the most significant obstacle to development after Russia's war in the country. In another survey, 55% of Ukrainians said that Kiev's allies should provide the country with military aid only under the condition of an effective fight against corruption. Taiwan's defense ministry has said that China is bolstering its air power along the coast facing the island. There are reports of permanent deployment of new fighters and drones at expanded air bases. Taiwan said, and I quote, "China used realistic combat training and exercises to strengthen its preparedness against the island." Taiwan's official has also said that China's defense spending continues to increase and the island cannot let its guard down. Washington has said it is likely that US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will host Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi before the year ends. It could happen during the United Nations General Assembly meeting or after that. Blinken traveled to Beijing in June this year, where he met Wang Yi's predecessor, Qin Gang. Blinken was the first top US diplomat to visit China in 5 years. The US State Department had said that Blinken and Qin held candid, substantive, and constructive talks. The United States has said that it will unfreeze $6 billion in Iranian assets. This is a part of the prisoner swap deal. The Biden administration has issued the waiver to free 5 Americans detained in Iran. The waiver was signed by US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Israel's Supreme Court has begun hearing arguments against the controversial judicial overhaul law. For the first time, all 15 judges of the top court are hearing appeals by watchdog groups. The judicial overhaul law was passed in July this year, despite massive protests and criticism. Protesters argue that the law limits powers of the country's Supreme Court. A Nobel laureate in the Philippines, Ressa, and her news site Rappler were acquitted in tax fraud charges. Ressa won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2021 along with a Russian journalist. She was acquitted on similar tax charges 9 months ago. Ressa is currently out on bail. She was convicted in the year 2020 and maintains that the charges against her are politically motivated. A plane flying from Sochi to Omsk made an emergency landing in Siberia's Novosibirsk region. 159 passengers were on board in Russia's Ural Airlines plane. The reason behind the emergency landing is not clear yet. The death toll due to Morocco's earthquake has passed 2,800. A 6.8 magnitude earthquake had struck the country on Friday. Rescue and relief operations are still underway. Rescue teams from Spain, the United Kingdom, and Qatar have been dispatched to join the relief efforts. In climate news, Libya has declared 3 areas in its eastern Cyrenaica province disaster areas. The country has also asked for international help amid deadly floods in the country. Authorities say that at least 2,000 people were killed and thousands more are missing. Strong winds and heavy rain have battered and flooded Libya over the past. The rainstorms have left vast tracts of the country underwater. Health experts have warned that this could become a hotbed for infectious diseases. The US has set a record for the most natural disasters in a single year in 2023. This is according to the American National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It has said that there have already been 23 extreme weather events in the US this year, and this has cost its economy at least $1 billion. However, the figure does not include major disasters such as last month's tropical storm Hillary. The Kilauea volcano on Hawaii's Big Island continues to erupt for the 3rd day. According to the US Geological Survey, the volcanic smog can lead to potential health hazard. Kilauea is one of the world's most active volcanoes. In 2019, a major eruption at Kilauea led to the destruction of hundreds of homes and businesses. The prime ministers of 2 small island nations, Tuvalu and Antigua and Barbuda, appeared at an international court in Germany. These islands face ongoing impacts from rising sea levels. They are disproportionately affected by the global climate crisis. The islands have asked the court in Germany to consider if carbon emissions absorbed by the ocean should be considered marine pollution. They are also seeking to enforce the obligations that high-emitting countries have towards protecting the marine environment. The World Bank poured billions of dollars into fossil fuels around the world last year. This is despite repeated promises to refocus on shifting to a low-carbon economy. The findings are based on a research done by a campaign group called Urge World. It found that the World Bank supplied about $3.7 billion in trade finances. This likely ended up funding oil and gas development. New footage shows Dutch police using a water cannon. This was to clear a main road blocked by climate activists. They have been protesting for over 3 days against the Dutch government's fossil fuel subsidies. On to business and tech, China has said that its economy is resilient and has not collapsed. It has rejected claims from the West that its economy is faltering and could cause wider problems. Earlier, officials from countries like Australia and the US publicly raised concerns about the country's economy. Meanwhile, analysts expect China's economy to grow less than previously expected this year. They see the economy growing by 5%. This is lower than an earlier forecast of 5.5%. The downgrade comes as China struggles to revive after the COVID-19 pandemic. The country is also reeling from a property market downturn. Shares in troubled Chinese developer Country Garden soared as much as 10% on Tuesday. This was on reports of creditors approving a deal to extend payments on several bonds by 3 years. Now, investors are turning their attention to China's latest stimulus measures. Beijing has taken steps to boost the property market, and the steps include lowering mortgage rates and offering preferential loans to first-time buyers. Airlines could face chaos over a flaw found in some jet engines. US-based Pratt & Whitney say it found a risk of cracks in its geared turbofans. These are widely used in planes made by Airbus. Up to 700 engines may now have to be pulled off Airbus aircrafts for checks. Analysts say that among US carriers, Spirit, JetBlue and Hawaiian Airlines face the biggest problems. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of American financial firm JP Morgan, has criticized stricter capital rules proposed by US regulators. Earlier this year, regulators proposed a new requirement for banks, as part of which banks would be to set aside more capital to guard against financial risk. Dimon says the move can prompt lenders to pull back and consequently stymie economic growth. India may reconsider not allowing local firms to list on foreign exchanges. This is as per the country's finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Under current regulations, Indian firms are not allowed to list directly on overseas exchanges. A plan to allow direct overseas listings of Indian firms was first announced in the year 2020. However, it was later shelved following concerns around tax losses and regulatory oversight. American semiconductor company Qualcomm has signed a deal with Apple. It will supply the iPhone maker with 5G chips until at least 2026. This comes at a time when Apple is facing increased challenges in China, and the company is now looking to reinforce its supply chain elsewhere. BMW has said it will invest $750 million at its UK plants. This is to take its iconic Mini brand all-electric by 2030. From 2026, BMW will make 2 electric models at its plant in Oxford in central London. These models are the Mini Cooper 3-door and the Mini Aceman. Dozens of investors are calling on Nike to pay its garment workers in Cambodia and Thailand. The investors want Nike to provide $2.2 million in allegedly unpaid wages. This is to more than 4,000 workers in Cambodia and Thailand. This adds to Nike's existing pressures ahead of its annual general meeting scheduled for today. Another group of authors in the US have sued Microsoft-backed artificial intelligence company OpenAI. They've accused the company of misusing their writing to train ChatGPT. The writers say that OpenAI copied their works without permission to teach ChatGPT to respond to human text prompts. Moving to sports, in cricket, India beat Pakistan by 228 runs at the Asia Cup Super 4 match in Colombo yesterday. The men in blue had set a daunting target of 357. Virat Kohli had scored 122 runs of 94 balls. Meanwhile, KL Rahul was not out for 111 runs. Pakistan were all out at 128 in 32 overs. Pakistan will call in backups for bowlers Haris Rauf and Naseem Shah. This comes after the pacer duo sustained injuries at the Asia Cup match against India. It is unclear whether Rauf and Shah would be available for the rest of the tournament. Shah Nawaz Zahani and Zaman Khan will be called in as backups. The Pakistan board said in a statement, and I quote, "This is only a precautionary measure, keeping in mind the fitness and well-being of the players ahead of the ICC World Cup next month, and the two will continue to remain under observation." Former Pakistani cricketer Khalid Latif has been sentenced to 12 years in prison in the Netherlands. The 37-year-old is accused of trying to incite people to murder Dutch MP Geert Wilders. In an online video, Latif had offered over $22,000 for the head of Wilders. This was after the Dutch MP had arranged a competition involving cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. The contest was later cancelled after it drew criticism in the Netherlands and protests were staged in Pakistan. Latif did not appear in the Dutch courtroom for his trial and he is believed to be in Pakistan. Argentina's 2026 World Cup qualifier match against Bolivia is scheduled for tomorrow. Lionel Messi has skipped the last practice session with his team. The 36-year-old was fatigued after Argentina's first qualifier against Ecuador. During the training session, Messi sat on a chair and just observed his teammates play. The match is being held in Bolivia's capital, La Paz, at the Estadio Hernando Siles. The players will clash in a stadium that is over 3,600 meters above sea level. The venue is particularly challenging for visiting teams who struggle to adapt to the adverse conditions at the high altitude. Portugal thrashed Luxembourg 9-0 at the 2024 Euro qualifiers. They had gained a comprehensive 4-0 lead within the first half of the game, and this means Portugal have won all of their 6 qualifiers for the Euros. The team did not feel the absence of talisman Cristiano Ronaldo, who was suspended. Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba has been provisionally suspended. This is after he tested positive for a banned substance. The doping test was performed after Juventus won against Udinese in the Serie A on the 20th of August. The test detected higher than usual levels of testosterone. In tennis, British tennis player Andy Murray has said that Novak Djokovic will dominate men's tennis for years. Murray added that young players are yet to reach his level of caliber. 36-year-old Djokovic recently claimed his 24th Grand Slam after winning the 2023 US Open. Murray said, and I quote, "It's up to the young guys to be pushing Novak and looking to overtake him. It doesn't look like that's close to happening." In badminton, the 2023 Hong Kong Open kicked off today. World number 12 Lakshya Sen will be the top-ranked Indian shuttler at the meet. PV Sindhu, HS Prannoy and Kidambi Srikanth have skipped the tournament. They will instead focus on the upcoming Asian Games. Germany have won the FIBA Basketball World Cup for the first time. They beat two-time champion Serbia 83-77 in the final to lift the trophy. The tournament's most valuable player was Dennis Schroeder. He propelled Germany towards victory and scored 28 points in the game. NBA star LeBron James might feature at the 2024 Paris Olympics. As per reports, he is interested in making a comeback with the US basketball team. The 38-year-old last played for the US at the 2012 London Olympics. James is the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Moving to entertainment, the California State Assembly in the US has passed a bill. The bill would provide unemployment insurance to striking workers. The bill will now go to the Senate Labor Committee and then to the Senate floor. The Writers Guild of America, which has been on strike since the 2nd of May, has backed the bill. Strikers in New York and New Jersey are entitled to unemployment benefits, but protesters in California are not because they are considered to have left jobs voluntarily. The Nun 2 released in theatres across North America last week. In the first weekend, the movie earned over $32 million in North America. The sequel of 2018 movie The Nun has got mixed reviews. Meanwhile, The Equalizer 3 has earned over $12 million at the opening weekend, while My Big Fat Greek Wedding earned $10 million. DC is set to release a sequel to Aquaman, a movie that turned it into a billion-dollar hit. The movie is bringing back actor Amber Heard as Mera. Heard was in the news last year over a defamation trial involving her former husband Johnny Depp. DC did not entirely remove Amber Heard from the film, but her role in Aquaman was reportedly shifted to avoid backlash. American TV personality Kelly Osbourne has said that she went a little overboard in her weight loss journey after she welcomed a child. Osbourne had a baby with Slipknot musician Sid Wilson in 2022. She recently said that her determination to bounce back may have been extreme. She said, and I quote, "I felt the pressure of losing the baby weight. It became my mission. I was obsessed with it." Reality TV star Savannah Chrisley is opening up about her finances. The 26-year-old has said that she spent her money like it was never going to go away. This comes after Chrisley's parents were sentenced over a conspiracy to commit bank fraud. She found herself becoming a guardian of her two siblings. Chrisley said, and I quote, "When you are in a single income household, you do whatever you have to." Social media platforms Snapchat and MTV are set to collaborate to facilitate voting for the Video Music Awards this year. Snapchat will incorporate augmented reality lenses into the process. This will be the first official partnership between the two entities. Last year, VMAs were featured on Snapchat's Stories page. K-pop boy band Shiny's member has released his new mini album called Good and Great. This is Key's second mini album and includes songs like Live Without You, Intoxicating and Can't Say Goodbye. Shiny is a 5-member band. It made its debut in 2008 with an album called Replay. Premiere of the documentary Lil Nas X, Long Live Montero was delayed after a bomb threat. This happened at Toronto's Roy Thomson Hall. The Saturday night premiere of the film was delayed by about 20 minutes. Authorities verified that the threat was not credible. Lil Nas X was kept off the red carpet of the Toronto International Film Festival during that time. American singer and songwriter Paul Simon has said that he is beginning to come to terms with his almost complete hearing loss in his left ear. The 81-year-old singer said that his hearing loss is now impacting his ability to perform live music. Simon revealed the hearing loss in May this year and has now said that there is no improvement. He said he feels frustration and annoyance because he thought it would pass, but it has not. American songwriter and singer Charlie Robinson has died at the age of 59. The country singer was forced to retire after complications from a medical procedure that left him unable to sing. Robinson died after suffering cardiac arrest and other complications. Robinson launched his music career in the late 1980s. In 1996, he released his solo debut album called Bandera.